Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Srila Prabhupada Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayan Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Mudire नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 44, text number. Yad Yadohane Vahanane Matanopa Vahanane Matanopa Pre Prenken Kanar Baruditoksana Marjanado Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Dhiyo Shrukantyo Dhanya Vraja Striya Urukrama Chittayanaha Yadohane Vahanane Mathalopalepa Prenken Kanarba Ruditokshana Marjanado Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Dhiyo Shrukantyo Dhanya Vraja Striya Urukrama Chittayanyaha Yadohane Vahanane Mathalopalepa Prenken Kanarba Rudikshona Marjanado Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Dhiyo Shrukantyo Dhanya Vraja Striya Urukrama Chittayanyaha Yadohane Vahane Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Dhiyo Shrukantyo Yadohane Vahanane Mathalopalepa Prenken Kanarba Rudikshona Marjana Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Dhiyo Shrukantyo Dhanya Vrajastriya Chittayana Yadohane Vahanane Mathalopalepa Sprinkling Kana Arvadati. Gayanti Chainam Anurakta Diyo Shukante. Dhanya Rajasriya Urukama Chittayanya. Okay, word for word. Yaha, who, the gopis, Dohane, while milking, Avahane, threshing, Mathana, churning, Upalepa, smearing, Prenkha, on swings, Inkhana, swinging, Arbarudita, taking care of crying babies, Ukshana, sprinkling, Marjana, cleaning, Adav, and so on. Gayanti, they sing, Cha, and Enam, about him. Anurakta, very much attached. Diya, whose minds. Ashru, with tears. Kantyaha, whose throats. Dhanyaha, fortunate. Vrajstriyaha, the ladies of Vraja. Urukrama, of Lord Krishna. Chitta, by consciousness. Yanaha, whose acquisition of all desired objects. Translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The ladies of Vraja are the most fortunate of women because with their minds fully attached to Krishna and their throats always choked up with tears, they constantly sing about him while milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable. The ladies of Vraja are the most fortunate of women because with their minds fully attached to Krishna and their throats always choked up with tears, they constantly sing about him. While milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. So we'll see the purport by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And even while doing household chores, the gopis were not stopped from drinking the nectar of the sweetness. That is the intent of this verse. While milking the cows and doing other chores, such as swinging or sprinkling water on the ground, they would sing about his name, qualities, and form, and see him. In this way, with their tongues they tasted, and with their eyes they tasted, without interruption. Krishna, being completely attracted to them, Anurakta Dhiya, carries them in his heart. Urukrama Chittayanaha, though Brahma and others carry him in their heart. In this way, the great fortune of the gopis is expressed. Jiva Goswami. Even when the gopis could not directly see Krishna, he manifested to them as if he was present. While milking cows or threshing grains, they sometimes saw him and sometimes sang about him. When they did not see that form appeared before them as Purti. Because we do not sing like that, we are the most unfortunate. Out of great affection, their throats became filled with tears, or because they were attached to him, they became overcome with crying, Ashru Kantyaha. He made his appearance in their hearts. Wherever they went, another version has Chintayaha, their thoughts went to him. Sadhana Goswami has similar purport with Jiva Goswami. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Deshatani Hare Krishna. So, interesting, this chapter is titled The Killing of Kamsa. And this chapter started off by how we are reading about how Krishna and Balaram. Krishna is paired off with Chanura and Balaram is paired off with Mustika. And they are fighting. And the first few verses actually describe how they are like, each struck fist against fist and knee against knees, head against head, and chest against chest. They are like intensely fighting. And while this fight is going on, the ladies of Mathura, they are actually thinking that this is totally unfair fight. Like one side, Chanura and Mustika, they see they are so strong and so well built, right? On the other hand, they see Krishna and Balaram with like delicate, beautiful limbs. This is totally unfair, right? And then the women actually, they start speaking. And first of all, they make the point that this is, totally irreligious. And in a place where such irreligious activities are happening, we should not stay here anymore. This is totally unfair. And then they actually start glorifying Krishna's beauty, and they say like, see the perspiration on Krishna's face, and that just resembles like pearls on Krishna's face, like decoration on Krishna. And then they say, see the face of Balaram. His eyes are copper red with anger towards Mustika, and his beauty is enhanced by his laughter. So they're meditating on the beauty. And then meditating on the beauty, they're thinking of the gopis of Vrindavan. Because their situation right now is, we are here, we are seeing Krishna and Balaram, we are seeing their beauty, but we are seeing them in a state where they have to fight with Chandra and Mustika, which is actually really something we don't want to see. It's totally unfair fight. But see, on the other hand, the gopis of Vrindavan, they can relish the beauty of Krishna and Balaram without any obstacle. And in that mood, they have started glorifying the gopis of Vrindavan. And they actually say, in the previous verse, they say, what austerities these gopis must have performed. They always drink the nectar of Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness. And that form is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So they're making the point that we are seeing Krishna, we are relishing the beauty, but in a very situation that we don't want to be in. But the gopis see, every time they are actually absorbed in Krishna, they are seeing Krishna, they are just like, they are appreciating the beauty. They can do that every time. They are so fortunate. And this verse is actually saying, well, they're also like Krishna leads to the forest, he takes care of the cows. But he's saying, even while Krishna leads, they are so absorbed in Krishna that they are drinking the beauty of Krishna at every moment. And hence, in this verse, our acharyas are making the point. They say that drinking the beauty with their eyes and with their tongues and with their eyes. So with their eyes, even though, so in relation to eyes, Jiva Goswami is making the point that even if Krishna leaves, because they are so absorbed in Krishna, Krishna appears in front of them as a spurti, as if he's right there. So they are still, even if Krishna leaves, they are constantly relishing the beauty of Krishna. And then with the tongue, How are they relishing the beauty of Krishna? Because they are always Gayanti. This verse is actually saying Gayanti. They are always singing the beauty of Krishna. His form, qualities, activities, pastimes, they would always sing. In relationship, one of the pastime that we often discuss is that of Mother Yashoda and in Damodar Leela, right? In that pastime, how does it start off? When Mother Yashoda, she wants to churn the churn the butter on her own because she feels like, oh, her butter is not so good quality and Krishna has to go outside to steal butter, right? And then while she's churning, it is described that she's actually singing the glories of Krishna spontaneously, like oh, this is what Krishna does, and this is the beauty of Krishna spontaneously. And Acharya explained in that section that how while she's churning the butter, the bangles on her hands are actually, clinging against each other, and just like kartals, kartals and kirtan is just going on constantly. So even when Krishna goes, they are relishing the beauty of Krishna by singing, right? And then this verse actually goes into details and says like how the gopis, how they are milking the cows, they are churning the butter, they're gathering cow dung, they're riding on swings, and while they are doing whatever they are doing, they are always absorbed in Krishna. Right? And this is actually, our perfection of life. That while we are doing what we are doing, we can actually be completely absorbed in Krishna. Even in Bhagavad Gita, we start off from Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna, what does he say to Arjun? He says, no, Arjun, you fight. Mam anusmara yudhyaja. But you fight while remembering me. Always thinking of me, you fight. Man mana bhava mad bhakta. We see that constant absorption in Krishna. Right? Even if you see in the Bhagavad Gita, if you see from 7th chapter onwards, when the section of Bhakti Yoga is actually focused, you see that in 7th chapter, Krishna actually explains so many different kinds of personalities. Like, like he talks about like 4 kinds of people who do not worship Krishna, right? Then he talks of 4 kinds of people who turn to Krishna. And in that, he says that even those 4 kinds of people who turn to Krishna, they're either the distressed, the inquisitive, the seeker of wealth, and then the jnani, right? These 4. But the first 3, they are looking for some material benefit. And in that way, Krishna, like step by step, he actually, points out like 6 different kinds of devotees. And finally, he comes to the point of, he says, the pure devotee is one, In the 7th chapter, he talks about like how he's always hearing about Krishna. 7.1 makes that point. And then further in 9th chapter, he comes to the point where he says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridavita namastyantasya mam nitya nitya yukta upasati. Right? Satanam Kirtan, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great devotion, bowing down before me with great devotion. These devotees, they perpetually worship me. And then he says, Mahatma nastu mam parta, devim prakritim ashrita, bhajantya ananya manaso, gyatva bhutadim aviryam. Right? So, why am I referring to this section? Because I wanted to point out that even in Bhagavad Gita, starting from the essence of Bhagavad Gita, it comes to the point of Ananya Bhakti, 100% devotional service. And we see this in the gopis. They are doing so many activities, but while they are doing, their mind is completely absorbed in Krishna. So if you consider the state of conditioned jiva, our mind is absorbed in so many different activities here in this material world. So many different attachments we have, so many different allurements of Maya, right? All those things, our mind is filled with so many things. Now, from this state to coming to the state where we have 100% absorption in Krishna, one way it seems like, how is it even possible? How is it even possible? There's so many things we have to think about. Even for our maintenance, we think about so many things, so many activities we have to do, relationships. Mind is just filled with so many. So from this state to come to a state of complete absorption in Krishna, it just seems that it's impossible. If you know that the final goal is to come to the point of where 24 hours a day we are singing Krishna's glories, name, qualities, pastimes, we are absorbing Krishna, it just seems like how would that be possible? Prabhupada made the point that even if we have one tiny material desire, then the material nature is so kind, she'll say, okay, that's your desire, here, take another body. You can try to fulfill it. How is it possible? And then I was thinking about this point that that is our perfection, to come to a state of 100% absorption in Krishna. But how is it possible? I'm thinking the only way is actually possible for us, like Kalyug Jiva, is by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has made the process that we see that, okay, it is possible. Otherwise, it seems like an impossible task. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, has made it possible for us. Through this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, through absorbing in Srimad Bhagavatam, through worshipping the deity form, association of devotees, or residence in Mathura, by these 5 activities, we can, hope to come to the stage where we have that complete absorption in Krishna. Like even in Bhagavatam, if you see, when the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami starts, like Parikshit Maharaj asks the questions in the end of the first canto, and Sukdev Goswami starts answering in the second canto. And then he comes to the same point, and he actually says, Pibanti ye Bhagavata Atmata Satam. Pibanti, we have to drink the nectar of Bhagavata Atmata Satam, the Supreme Lord who is so dear to his devotees. And then he says, Shravana Puteshu. Shravana means hearing. Puteshu means like cups. Our ears are designed like cups so that we can always fill it with Harikatha. And then he says, Punanti ye Vishaya Vidushitasaya. And then when we are actually filling our ears with that Harikatha, constant hearing of Harikatha, 24 hours, as much as possible, we are hearing the glories of Harikatha. Then what happens? Then it says, Punanti ye Vishaya Vidushitasaya. Punanti means cleans. So our mind is filled with so many things. Unlimited lifetimes we have all these things filled. But all that can be destroyed by just hearing Harikatha. Punanti ye Vishaya Vidushita. All that Vishaya, all that material attachments, everything can be cleansed just by the process of hearing. And then it says, Vrajanti chat tat sararo hantikam. This is in second canto, third chapter, last 2.3 point, the last verse of it. And then it says, and then the 2 benefits of hearing, it says, all that Vishaya, all that anarthas of mind will get cleared, and at the same time, Vrajanti tat sarori hantikam. We will attain the lotus feet of Krishna. So it is through the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we have actually access to all this knowledge about Krishna. We can know the glories of Srimati Radharani, the glories of this Vraja Prem. And actually that is the reason why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended. In the Adi Leela, in the 3rd chapter, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes this point that, for so long, like the verse, Anarpita Charimchira Karuna Avatina Klo Samayirpitam Unnato Jolo Prasamsa Bhakti. Where Krishna is thinking, I have not bestowed that Vraj Prem to the residents of this world. And I will personally come and actually give this Vraj Prem to everyone. And then he established, like one of the points of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Aradhya Bhagwan Brajeshwara Tanay Tad Dhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajvatu Vartina Makalpita. So of the 5 truths that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established, the 3rd one here is one should follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. And this verse is really giving the point of how we can follow in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. That while we are doing whatever we are doing, we fill our ears with Harikatha as much as possible. As much as possible, we hear about Krishna, we hear about Krishna. And we continue our duties, like how the gopis are, they are milking the cows, they are cleaning their house, they are taking care of their babies. But while they are doing everything, they are absorbing Krishna. Right? And if you see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings also, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it talks about this Kurma Brahmana, the Brahmana from Kurma Kshetra. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on his South India tour, he met this Brahmana from Kurma Kshetra. And the Brahmana actually invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fed him, served him, washed his lotus feet. And then when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to go, then Kurma Brahmana said, no, I want to come with you. Take me along with you. And then at that time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this verse from Bhagavatam where he says, Tane stita sutigatam tanuvan manobir. Jnane prayasam udaprastha mananta eva. Jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir. Ye prayaso jita jito api asya taisya triloke. So in this verse, this actually comes in Brahma's prayers. He says, the translation is that you can remain in your established social position. Whatever is your social position or what the psychophysical nature, you have to do your duties, you do that. But give away this process of speculative knowledge. Jnane prayasam, that this attempt to understand the Lord which are with our own body, with our own tanuvan manobhir, with our own body, with our own mind, with our own words, trying to understand the Lord. Give that mental speculation, give that up. But at the same time, it actually says, with our body, words, and mind, we offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees. Those who actually do this, they certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Right? So I mentioned this verse because in this what the acharyas are making the point, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is actually making the point. He says Krishna being completely attracted to them carries them in his heart. For this verse, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is making the point that because they are singing out of so much love, like here particularly it is described that their voice is choked up and their mind is fully attached and their tears flowing, and in that mood they are singing the glories of Krishna. And because they are singing in that bhav, that mood, that Krishna is actually captured by them. Krishna is attracted by them. And this is the same mood that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come and he's freely distributing. Take this mood of the gopis of Vrindavan and in that worship me, and in that conquer me. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, wants to be conquered by this kind of Vraj prem. So, going back to the verse of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, that the description of the Tanuvan Manubhe, Sanatana Goswami gives three different explanations of that body, words, and mind. How can that actually conquer the unconquerable? The first is very nice. The first explanation, he says that the devotees, through their body, words, and mind, they are able to conquer Lord Krishna. They touch the lotus feet of Krishna with their hands. They call him to come with his words, with their words, and they attain direct audience within their mind simply by thinking about it. Thinking about it. So this is exactly what the gopis are doing, right? They are actually so absorbed in Krishna that they are actually like tanuvan manovir, their body, their words, and their mind. They are completely in touch. Right? So that is the first explanation of tanuman manovir. With their hands, they can touch the lotus feet of Krishna. With their words, they are calling Krishna. And with their mind, they are just totally absorbing Krishna. The other explanation of tanuman manovir that Sanatana Goswami gives, it says that for the non-devotees, even if they use their words, body, and mind, they can never conquer Krishna. And then he gives a third explanation. He says, in reference to the word jitaha, conquered, it indicates that the pure devotees of the Lord Krishna conquer his body, words, and mind. Lord Krishna's body is conquered because he always remains by the side of his pure devotees. Lord Krishna's body is conquered because he always remains with his pure devotees. Lord Krishna's words are conquered because Krishna himself is chanting the glories of his devotees. And Lord Krishna's mind is conquered because he's always thinking about his beloved devotees. So if you see, going back to the explanation here, so it says Krishna being attracted to them carries them in his heart. Krishna is conquered. He loves them so much that his body, mind, and words are conquered by the gopis, and he is always singing the glories of the gopis. So it is both ways. The gopis are constantly singing about Krishna, and Krishna is so conquered that even though someone may say, oh, Krishna has gone to the forest. No, but he's still there because they are so absorbed in Krishna. So So, just meditating on the same theme, that how we can absorb our life in such a way that we can just come to the point of 100% being absorbed from Krishna, following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. While we are doing whatever we are doing, verse is very beautiful. Jnane prayasam. Give up mental speculation, and we use our body, our words, and mind in always glorifying Krishna, hearing Krishna Katha. Then we have access to this highest perfection that the gopis are actually demonstrating in this way. So I have few more points, but let's see if there are any comments or any realization. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So both ways, right? So both ways. The gopis are keeping Krishna in the heart, and Krishna is actually keeping the gopis in. But the gopis are, yes, them in the heart. Very, yes, thank you very much. Point. Yeah, because the gopis are so dear to Krishna that Krishna is actually keeping the gopis in. Yes. Hmm? So how can we? What? Maybe you can repeat on the microphone.
The greatest mercy of having Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada and the acharyas give us this goal of aspiring to walk in the footsteps of the gopis. But how can, speaking for myself, how can I, fallen conditioned soul, at this point in my life, even take steps to do that? What is practical for me to do that? I mean, we hear so many things, but people out there listening, they're getting their kids ready for school, etc. What do we do to make this a reality?
Mm. Well, like I'll make one point first and then come more to the practical aspect. Like, how do we follow in the footsteps of gopis? One way the gopis are like the highest devotees of Krishna. How can we follow? But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the point. We follow in the footsteps of gopis by following in the footsteps of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. We follow the instructions of the gopis, and then, yeah, certainly Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated the principle of das, anudas, and that. Yeah. So we follow in the footsteps of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And from the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, like particularly I really like the bhajan, Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparo, Prema Amrita, like Srila Prabhupada sings it, it's so beautiful. One day Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Shri Jiva Gopala. And if you see in that bhajan, in every verse, there is a practical way how the Goswamis actually live their life, which can be a practical teaching for each one of us. It starts off with Krishna Kirtan. As much as possible, we engage in Harinam Sankirtan. Krishna Kirtana Ganana. Then it says how they are absorbed in the mood of gopis and how they are actually Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipuno. How they are absorbed in studying Bhagavatam and other scriptures. So another practical instruction. Right? And then finally, if you see, like step by step, how that bhajan progresses, and the last verse actually comes to a point where they actually say, He Radhe Vrajadevike Cha Lalite He Nanda Sunokuto. So starting from Kirtan and then studying the scriptures, associating with devotees, and how they were like friendly with both the ruffians and the other people, like everyone in Vrindavan loved them. So having that attitude and step by step and coming to the stage of He Radhe Vrajadevike, like where we are actually worshipping Krishna and Radha Krishna in that mood of separation. So the Goswamis actually demonstrated this, So by studying the life and following the teachings of these Goswamis, then we can actually, we are actually following the gopis of Vrindavan. Like even Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabe hama bhuja bose Yugala Priti. The only way we can actually understand this Yugala Priti, the gopis and the Krishna, is through Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, by actually studying and following in the footsteps of gopis. And Srila Prabhupada actually perfectly given us the system by our morning program, our sadhana, and all the 5 main activities of devotional service by which we are actually really following the Goswamis of the Lord.
What I get from this is that we should stay very on the positive side. What we should do, the things we do, and not dwell on things that, I didn't do enough, or I'm not good enough, or I did these things, but stay focused on the positive devotional activity.
Like the best we can do. We have everything. Like Prabhupada has clearly said, okay, these are the items we need to do. This is how we do. The best we can do it, right? And to your point also, I remember this, that, one important thing is, to the last point you mentioned, that our process is not only anartha nivritti. That is one part of it, that we want to clear out the anarthas. We want to clear out all the garbage in our mind accumulated over so many lifetimes. But beyond that, it is actually the artha pravritti. Like even in that verse I quoted, that Pivantiye Bhagavata Atma Sata, it says, yes, by hearing what happens, that Punantiye Vishaya Vidushita, all those anarthas are clear. But what is the positive? Vrajanti Tach Sarori Hantika. We will actually know about Krishna, we'll learn about Krishna, we'll become attached to Krishna. So both these things happen simultaneously. So it's not so much just the negative. Clearing out the negative is important, but we have to develop that attachment to Krishna. There is that another verse in Bhagavatam where it says, Na uttama shloka vartanam dushatam tat kathamitam yat sambravo ante kalepi smaratam tat padambhuja. So that verse is basically saying that if those who are completely, they live their life on Harikatha. The verse is basically, Na uttama shloka vartana. Vartana means one who's living his life on Harikatha. Then even at the end of his life, he does not need to worry. There'll be no confusion there, because he is actually smaratam tat padambhuja. He'll always be absorbed in Krishna. So how much ever possible, if we can hear Harikatha, that is the best we can do. How much ever time we can give to Harikatha, that is the final thing.
Special gopis of Vrindavan,
eight principal gopis.
the 8 principal gopis and the closest gopis, they're really eternal positions. It's not like we can be aspiring for that. We can only be aspiring to be the servants of gopis, the helpers of gopis. I think that is a clarification, because we're always...
Yeah, that's actually a very important point, that we are trying to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. Not that we are aspiring to become the gopis.
Exactly.
Like actually in one of the, I think it's a lecture where Prabhupada actually makes this point, and he actually says, to actually aspire to become one of those eternal, that's just like Mayavad philosophy, Prabhupada. He really speaks so heavily against it. This is just like Mayavad philosophy, to aspire to become Mother Yashoda, or we are just trying to follow in the footsteps of these Brajvasis. That is and if you see in our process, like we are doing sadhana bhakti, and then when we progress to the stage of raga nuga, we are actually trying to follow in the footsteps of one of the Brajvasis. So it is always following in the footsteps, like we never aspire to become any of these associates. Yeah, assisting them in their search.
So these are really wonderful instructions. And I was thinking about an example that Amarendra gave in one of his classes, Amarendra Prabhu. And he was talking about a kite that is flying in the sky. You may have heard. I don't know. And then there is, this kite is independent, just going here and there, or so it appears that it's independent. But there is a person who is holding the string. And the way that the kite is controlled by the person who's holding the string is through the string. So he makes a comparison that the kite is the Supreme Lord, fully independent to go here and there and do whatever he feels he wants to do. And the devotee is down there And the string that's connected the devotee to the kite is the holy name.
The holy name.
Is the holy name. So by controlling the Supreme Lord uh, as the image of the sky, the devotee is actually controlling the Supreme Lord. I was thinking about this explanation we gave about following the footsteps of the um, Goswamis of Vrindavan, is that a person may find himself or herself without knowledge about this, without access to the books, but the holy name is always going to give this person all the knowledge and all the understanding. Whether it's a book or there is no book, it's because of the 5 elements, they will not be effective unless the holy name is present in each one of them.
Yeah, out of the 5, like the remaining 4 can be successful when they are associated with the chant.
So that tells us something about the power of the holy name.
Yes, certainly.
But there's nothing else. There are no books. There is no availability of knowing anything. The holy name is revealing everything.
Hari Naam Eva Kevalam. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki.
Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindanalaya Tatam Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddhasundaram Kandar Bhakto Vidamaniya Kishesa Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakale Kriya Pridimanti Vasyan Vipa Vikayanti Kira Mekanti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vikrasya Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam Aham Bhajami Adipurusham Aham Bhajami Govindam
Manusha Janamapaya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Shuniya Visha Koino Koino Janiya Shuniya Visha Koino Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana Premadana Harinama Sankirtana Ratina Janmiloke Netai Janmiloke Netai Samsara Vishanale Divanishi Ajvale Vishanale Judaite na koinu baya Judate na koinu baya Brajendra Nandanaye Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Sati Sutta Hoilo Se Brajendra Nandanaye Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Balarama Hoilo Nitai Balarama Hoilo Nitai Hina hina yata chilo harinama udarilo chilo harinama udarilo Tara shakshi jagai marai Ha ha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Rishabhanu Sutta Yuta Nanda Sutta Rishabhanu Sutta Yuta Karuna Koro Hoe Baro Narotama Dasakaya Natali Horangapaya Narotama Dasakaya Natali Horangapaya Toma bine ke ache amara Toma bine ke ache amara Manusha Janamabaya Radha Krishna Nabadiya Janiya Shuniya Vishakoinu Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Oh Lord Hari, I have wasted my life. Although I have taken this rare human birth, I have not served Radha and Krishna, and thus I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Goloka Vrindavan had descended as the congregational chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. Why did my attraction for that chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns in the fire of the poison of worldliness, and I have not accepted the means for relieving it. Lord Krishna, the son of the king of Braja, became the son of Sachi, and Balaram became Nitai. The holy name delivered all those souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madai, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of Vrishabhanu, please be merciful to me now. Narottama Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. Chaito Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadava Pravachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vadanam Pratipadam Purnam Viswaswadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Nitami Amita Smaranena Kalaha Etajasita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishaniha Ninanuraga Janadapi Sunichena Darorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitamba Jagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhaktari Kripai Anina Najaja Kinkaram Bhavitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddho Kripaya Sita Duli Sadrisham Vinchaya Nayanam Gadharaya Vadanam Gadgadarudagita Pulakarnichitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayitam Tunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vinahena Me Ashti Shubha Sumam Adarsham Yata Tata Vavidanato Matarastas to Saevana Padaha. Victory, the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of the dust of accumulated numbers and extinguishes the fire of additional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge and increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. It enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more devoted than a tree, void of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to respect others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to nor do I desire beauty, nor do I want any number of followers.